Hello and welcome to the daily business and creative writing and creativity update. Today is, I believe it's March 22nd. It is Sunday, and a lot has happened since I last made a video. Basically, on Friday during the day, I believe, possibly Thursday, I submitted my story to Royal Road for serial publication. Basically, for those who are unaware, the back end of Royal Road works kind of like this. Basically, the platform rewards and readers expect a 20,000 word drop right at the beginning. For the platform, it seems to be the peak that's kind of acknowledged and helps you get on the rising star status or whatever it's called. For readers, it shows that you've got a sizable investment into the story. Apparently, kind of like in the publishing world, especially the independent publishing world, readers are wary of series because often you'll get book one and maybe a few more books in the series, but then the author won't finish it. And honestly, I said indie, but there are some huge names, which I'm not going to name here, but I think you know what I'm talking about. There are two big time fantasy series where we're still waiting for the next book. And in both cases, it's been years, many years. So obviously readers don't want to get burned again. So there's like a double reason why you should launch with 20,000 words, and that's a lot. Okay. So Friday, let's say I launch and Royal Road says you just got to wait for the approval process. Great. Saturday goes by, I take a rest, and then Saturday night, I see that, I check out Royal Road to see what's going on, and it's just live. I'm like, okay, is there a notification, an explanation of what's going on here? Nope. Okay, I check my email. Is there anything? Nope. Well, when you launch, you only put one chapter in. So I'm sitting there like, okay, I was supposed to have 20,000 words up, and it's been like 20 or 30 hours. So I got to jump on this. So what I do is last night I end up in this huge novel sprint to, like, the words are done. The book is done from cover to cover, except that it needs editing. And fortunately, the first 15 or so chapters don't need much editing, but there are certain things I want to include. I'm going to sit down. My wrist is getting sore here. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm over here wondering, like, do I have a phone stand? I'm here using, like, containers of cleaning products to prop up my phone. And I realized, yes, I do. Here we are using it. So let's get down to business. Basically, I don't know how that lighting is. Where the heck was I in this story here? So I've just realized that I launched way earlier than I thought. Can't seem to get the lighting right, so I decided to go with a dramatic bluish tone. I launched way earlier than I thought. I'm not entirely prepared. Like, I have this manuscript, let's say 70 or 80% ready, but I've got some work to do before I can just drop 7,000 words. And why didn't I do it beforehand? I don't know. Either way, I'm extremely motivated and I jump on it ASAP. And what that looks like is I sit down and I just run through the first chapter and I put in all of the edits that my wife and I had worked on last year. It's actually almost been a year and a half. It was not the August that just passed, but the one before that we kind of started and stretched on into the fall. So here I am furiously typing and adding. I push chapter 1 out, and I'm so frantic that I just throw chapter 2 out unprepared, unedited, and I take a moment and I go, okay, I am running on fumes for whatever reason. I had not rested very well that day, and I was really struggling. And I considered my position and basically thought, I need to get a good chunk out tonight, but I don't need to get it all out. Like, if I sleep 7-8 hours, it's the middle of the night, it's not that big of a difference. We'll live. And on top of that, like, I need to kind of have my wits with me if I'm going to be releasing and editing like this. So I decided to do a major push, and I was up late. I was up like hours past my regular bedtime. It was pretty late. We were like wee hours of the morning by the time I went to bed. And I actually was tempted to do an all-nighter and rush through editing this 20K push for the story. But again, I realized the whole quality thing, like, it's important. You've got to be rested. Everybody's saying, like, sleep is the solution to many of your problems. Thinking, focus, flow state, fitness, nutrition, like, everything stops working when you don't sleep enough. So I said, you know what? I had a Red Bull a few hours ago, one of the big ones, energy drink, and I was like, okay. Like, I think I literally picked up another one, and I was like, a small one. And I was like, let's do the all-nighter. And then all this went through my head, and I was like, you know what? No, let's not do the all-nighter. And I went to bed, went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and it's been a long time. I don't know if it's ever been like this, but basically, the night before, I had released, I think, like 7,000 words. And then I woke up, and my brain was like, you still got a mission to work on here. I prepped everything. I turned on the computer. I got my, the coffee maker running. I shoveled some snow a little bit. I was planning on releasing a chapter first, but I just kind of ended up doing it. We had like a miniature snowstorm yesterday, and this was right on the heels of a major snowstorm earlier last week. So I cleared some of the stairs, and I got back in, and I jumped right back into writing. Edited chapter 5, I think. That was a huge push. I think I doubled the length of that chapter. Then I went ahead and hopped into, I think I took a break then, but then I went into 6, which is a shorter chapter, went into 7, which had some additional scenes, and that I worked on last year with my wife. And that chapter was long. It was, especially with the additional paragraphs. And so that was like 4,000 words. Typically, you want like 1,500 to 2,000. So I split it, released the first half of that, and I looked at my word count, like my novelist word count, because for whatever reason, Royal Road will not show you the word count for a project. They'll show you for a chapter, and they'll show you everything you've ever published, but not for a project. Fortunately, this is my only one at the moment. Whew. But I got it out, and I actually reached my 20K goal. And I think all before sunset today. It's dark now. You can't really see, but it's dark now. Dark. And I took another break. I had some food. I went ahead and went right back to work. I finished the second half of the chapter, published that. It's around 7:30 p.m. now. I started after the shoveling and getting ready and everything, I started around 1:30. So this was like a good 5-hour push if you take out time for breaks, 6-7 hours. And that was it. We were live. We were good. And that project is up and running now. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Come here. Look at that, buddy. You're famous now. Okay. So, major push, and definitely one of the biggest editing pushes I think I've ever done. Do you want to go out? Give me a moment. As expected, he did not really want to go out. Not with all the snow out. We've got to clear that area. So that was a big push, a big day. My day is winding down now. And I think this video is too. But I published that one half of the last chapter I was going to do for the day. And we are at 22,000 words. So I hit the launch goal. And on top of that, I've wrote 4,000 or 5,000 words because I was expecting to get 13,000 with those first 7 chapters, and I ended up with 22. Okay, my math is not looking right here. I'm not actually sure how many extra words I have. It'd be worth checking out, but I had 2,000 words that were not in the document to begin with that I copied over from another document that I had written in last year. I guess it's a year ago. It was actually late 2024. The point is, that is up. You should check it out. I'm going to leave a link in the description. There's finally a link to leave. My links are not done yet, and this, talk about getting caught flat-footed. That's a tabletop RPG term where basically, if you are caught flat-footed, you do not get to take your dexterity bonus to your armor class for the first round of combat. What does that mean? Basically, you were caught off guard, and so you don't have the reflexes to dodge whatever comes at you. But whatever armor or other durability you have is still obviously active. So that's where I was. And I was caught. The other way to say this, or another way to say something similar, is caught on my back foot, caught on the defensive. But I was going to say, I think I pushed through. No, I actually did push through. 22,000 words are up live on Royal Road, just waiting for readers. And they've already got a handful. And I'm now going to transition into a twice a week publishing schedule for the rest of it. About half of it is ready to go the way that this half was, where I'm just going to do a editing pass. And if I think about it, I'm not sure how many hours I spent on this, but I can check by the publishing schedule. But let's say that it was... I started at like 7 p.m. last night, and I went for a good few hours, and then I had a good few hours today. Let's say 15 hours maybe to get 22,000. So we're talking maybe 1.5 hours per chapter. If you do the math on that, 15, 1.5 of 15, you add, we'll round up to 8, round it up to 16 plus 8 is 24. So it should be 24. Oh, no. Per hour, I do 1.5 1.5 thousand words. Yeah. I did more thousand words than I took hours. So, good. Let's see how much time we're at here. 17. I keep thinking these are going to be quick, but I guess not. So if you extend that math to the remaining, let's say, 30,000 words, I should be able to get that done in 20 or 25 hours. So if I do a couple hours a day, 5 days a week, that's 2 or 3 weeks. Not bad. Then I have a few extra chapters I'm adding that I brainstormed with my wife last year. And on top of that, the further along in the story we go, the more thorough the edits have to be. So that'll probably push us into 3 or 4 weeks. At a twice weekly publishing schedule, it'll be about 11 weeks. So if you do the math on that, yes, I'm doing a lot of mental math for some reason here. We end up with 7 weeks. Sorry, what? If it's going to take 3, yeah, you subtract 5 weeks from 11 and or 4 weeks from 11 and you get 7. So I've got 7 weeks basically where it should be done, it should be scheduled, it should be ready. And that's where I move on to the other novel project, which that one is 10,000 words in. And if I have any extra time, I can go ahead and edit the new novel that I am, or that I was writing a few weeks ago. It's on hold right now because I kind of wrote it in the wrong direction. Or no, it was the right direction. It's just like there's so much missing. It almost feels like it's just a footpath right now, and it needs to be a paved trail or at least a gravel road, but it's just a dirt footpath right now. I like that analogy. Okay, so we got a lot going on here. I'm super curious where the manuscript is now versus where it was before. So I'm going to basically check out the initial version word count for the first 7 chapters, and then the current version word count for the first 7 chapters, and that'll be great. And yeah, my links are not ready. Like, I should have a newsletter ready by now. I don't. And goodness, what am I even going to put in it? I guess updates like this and maybe some insights. Oh, you know what I could do? The newsletters are for people who are very interested in the writing. You know, it's like this concentrated group of people who, like, these are the people who are going to hear about the novel first when I release a physical novel or something that you can pay for, or when it's all done on Royal Road and I shift it over to Kindle Unlimited so I can start getting paid for page reads. The newsletter is where I'm going to announce that to people who are already interested in my work. So that means that I think what I could put in the newsletter would be like behind the scenes thoughts. There are like thinly veiled references to stuff in my work. I can talk about my inspirations, and this is my first novel, so it's mostly like my teenage stuff that inspired me there. And that's interesting. Like, I used to read as a teenager. I kind of prided myself on the fact that I had skipped teenage fiction for the most part. Especially, like, I read a little bit in middle school. I read like The Secrets of the Immortal, which was the sort of less popular version of like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, except that in The Secrets of the Immortal, he used figures from all sorts of mythology. So you had like Scottish mythology, and instead of going Greek, he went Roman. And so it was fascinating on a completely different level. Anyway, that was middle school, though. I moved on to Terry Pratchett's Discworld and Michael Crichton. Like, that's the author of Jurassic Park, Timeline, Congo, Sphere. Tons of great books. People say his prose is kind of awful. It kind of is, but you don't read Michael Crichton for the prose. You read it for the premise, most people, and for me, I read it for the essays. I read it for the facts, where he would just like write a like he would write a general audience positioned quasi-scientific paper, and then, like, his later books, he actually started putting a bibliography in the back with all of the works that he cited. Like, if you look at the back of Timeline, there are actual historical books that he referenced when he was writing that book. My teenage brain was like, man, I love sci-fi. This is great. I'm going to be a scientist when I grow up, etc., etc., etc. Turns out, I thought I was a nerd. Turns out I'm more of an artist. Go figure. But I still love all this science, and I'm kind of awful at math. I mean, you're watching me do mental math, but like advanced math, I bombed in high school. But I'm still enthusiastic about it. I think it's cool. Calculus seems awesome. Especially Newtonian calculus, even though we learn Leibniz calculus. So I can talk about inspiration. I won't get all super technical in the newsletter, but I can be like, hey, you can see that I drew inspiration from Terry Pratchett in the fact that, at least in the first handful of chapters, there's kind of a narrator who has his own voice. Now that fades away in the later chapters, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I'll probably leave it as is, to be honest, or maybe I can have it fade back in at the end to sort of do the outro. That would be really cool. And that way it's kind of like a ring composition. And I could explain ring composition. You know what? Scrap that. What on earth happened there? Okay, there's a timer on this. Nope, it's just, the computer that this USB light was drawing power from went to sleep, so the light died. Okay. Is this the right color? No, there's the blue. Okay, cool. So we're going to close this up, but basically, thanks for listening. I have all sorts of ideas for a newsletter. I'm going to get that live tomorrow at the latest. Yeah, it's going to be live tomorrow. And that way, when I launch on, not when I launch, but when I put out the next chapter on Royal Road for Tuesday, I can put it in the description and, backload all that stuff into the previous couple of authors and notes. So that's all great. I was actually on my way to fix up my writing program here. I got great tech support from Campfire Writing. I think the website is campfirewrite.com. But I had some issues with the desktop app, but my computer's ancient, so no wonder it had some sort of weird error. And I thought I lost 3,000 words, but what actually happened was something crashed, something went wrong, and the written words were there, but they were not connecting with the app. So instead, I got like a blank screen. Not even a text box, just like it didn't even load. So I reached out to them within a day, I think. I had an email back, and we were in this whole process. And I think this guy is responding to me on the weekend. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do a follow-up about that. Either way, I was so unhappy. I was like, how can Campfire lose 3,000 words like this? Words are like the whole point of this. I was ready to abandon Campfire, and then they fixed it. It's still super convenient. It's all cloud-based, so I can access it. I have a laptop, I have a desktop, and I can even check it on my phone. I could write on my phone, but it's easier to, like, if I need to reference something or check, like, the spelling of one of my very strangely spelling names, because I'm working with, like, Polish names and Polish culture. I can just pull it up right away. So, anyway, we are at, what are we at? 28? We're at half an hour. That's great. I'm so glad that I went ahead and recorded this at 24 frames per second. And so here we are. That's it. I'm not going to summarize because I'll end up going on another tangent. But big day. And I'm actually happy that I started doing this this every other day sort of update, because I got to... Give me a moment. I got to share this adventure while it was still fresh in my mind. So, short timeline, like Wednesday, Thursday, one of those days I had a really good writing day. I dropped 3,000 words in one day. That's like 2 or 3 chapters. And, a lot of prolific, traditionally published authors will consider like 1,500 words to be a good day, 1,500 or 2,000 words. So from kind of a traditional perspective, that was a great day. And I think the quality was there too. There was a certain richness, and I got into like the flow state. So I was writing a lot, but also with a good amount of quality. Obviously, even more quality, hopefully, is going to come out in the editing as well. Then I lost it. Then I got frustrated and I fought for the rest of the day. I spent the next day kind of like frustrated. And then Thursday night or Friday, I submit the other book to Royal Road with the first chapter. It goes live without me knowing. I spend the entirety of Saturday unaware that this first chapter is up. And so I spend Saturday night fighting to release, I think, 5 chapters or 7,000 words. And then I do the rest today. And oh my goodness, I'm kind of worn out now. Here I am recording like a half-hour video. I'm kind of losing my tone of voice, getting repetitive. We're going to close it up here. Thank you very much for watching this. Thank you even more if you check out the novel, which I'm going to link below. If it's on Royal Road, it's free. If it's on Kindle Unlimited, like if you're watching this in the future, then that's just a paid subscription, and it's almost like a streaming service where you can read as much as you want, but I get paid every page that is read. And then if you're in the distant future, then I might have actually released it as an ebook. So thanks for watching. Thanks for reading. Check out the links in the description. I've got my business side of things cut out for me. I've got to get the newsletter up. I've got to get the main website up because it's not up. I've been working with a secondary website. I got to fuss around with domains and stuff. But other than that, it's all going good. And yeah, it's surprising what you can do when you've got a surprise deadline. So I'm going to see if I can keep this momentum up in a sustainable way, obviously rest and all that stuff. And we'll see what the future brings. We're right at the beginning of the week, so I'm going to rest up and launch into the next day tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. This has been Daniel. I'm a writer, and I would appreciate if you checked out my writing.